everybody, and welcome. Good morning, welcome back to the Triforce podcast. Welcome back, Sips.
Welcome back.
Welcome back, Pyrion.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to be here with all of you.
It's wonderful to be here. I hope that you guys are all well, keeping well, keeping
wonderful.
Fresh, keeping tight.
Keep it tight, above all.
Keep it tight and fresh. And I hope that that's how you guys are keeping it.
Absolutely.
If I taught you anything, in
fact, when we met, those were the first things. He leaned in for it. We had a handshake, and Sips grabbed my hand and leaned in. He said, "Keep it tight and fresh." And I thought, I'm going to remember those words.
Yeah.
Words to live by. And I've kept them with me. That's the wisdom. If there were a little book of wise words to live by, you don't need anything other than keep it tight and fresh.
Honestly, it's a 2-page book.
It could just be blank.
It's like it looks like a thick book, but it's actually just 2 very thick pages. And on one page it says tight, on the other page it says fresh. That's all you need to know.
Yeah.
Keep it.
And the cover says keep it.
Keep it tight. And keep
it's like
it fresh.
a 90s rap.
Yeah.
That's what it sounds like. Like tight and fresh sound like terrible rappers from the 90s.
Tight and fresh. I like that.
Can we talk about this story that has been really interesting over the last couple of days, the Wall Street bets thing with GameStop?
Oh, yeah.
I could talk about it, but I don't really understand it.
What don't you understand?
You're going to have to explain to me from, like, as if I was a complete idiot, what's going on.
Explain it to me like I'm 5.
So, do you guys know what a short position is?
No.
On a stock?
So I know what GameStop is. It's a failing retailer.
I know what Wall Street is.
Okay. All right. Good. We're way ahead of where I thought we'd be.
Well, no. Let's define this as well. Let's define what Wall Street is.
Okay.
If you know what it is.
All right. Wall Street
a building,
is.
It's a road in New York City. And it's got the New York Stock Exchange building on it, and the building has a statue of a giant bull outside of it. That's all I know.
This is true.
Right. Now, that's not really what Wall Street is. I mean, that obviously is
you
what Wall Street is. But
in your question.
Well, I wasn't. But I think what Wall Street is actually represents the older generation of investment and massive investment firms who have existed for a very long time. Sure, the stock exchanges are on Wall Street, and I'm sure some firms work there. But it's really... It represents
it's the home
more
of the big banks, isn't it? Of the biggest banks in America, and therefore probably by extension, certainly most of the biggest ones in the world are right there on Wall Street. And yeah, they deal in stocks and shares and all the other shit that goes along with that. That's Wall Street. And then you've got GameStop, which was a company with a value of $3. Its stock, that is, was $3 a share. As you said, a failing business.
Well, I think a lot of people compared it to Blockbuster Video.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
They don't have an online presence. You know, they don't have plans to break away from brick and mortar stores, which I've always heard of GameStop described as the very lucrative used game market, which I don't deny is possibly very lucrative, but certainly the model of it is...
I mean, you can't take a digital download there and sell it again, because obviously that's impossible. So there goes their model, really.
But for me personally, I've only a couple of times bought or traded in used games, and then they were when I was younger.
Right. Because you needed the moolah to buy something new, right? Like that.
Because I didn't have much pocket money or stuff, and if I wanted to buy a game, it was a big, expensive thing. And I honestly felt like even buying used games back then was probably more expensive than it should have been.
Well, yeah, they kind of ripped you off because they were never worth the amount that they charged for those used games, you know what I mean? And they were always sticky. I don't know if you guys remember this, but like anytime you buy a used game, like the cartridge itself was sticky.
It's true.
Just like other people's weird like hand gunk on it or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
it was. I honestly am surprised that they still are a thing. And I think a lot of people were surprised.
It would be like finding
that's why the stock price went down to $3.
I mean, apparently there is like one Blockbuster store left in some remote place somewhere, I think, in either Canada or America, apparently. I don't know if that's true. It was I saw an article or a video or something on the internet. Anyway,
I think that those things exist because weirdos exist, P-Flex. I think there's some weirdo still running a Blockbuster independently.
Well be.
He's like, my family have been running Blockbuster Video for generations. My grandpappy ran a Blockbuster and his grandpappy ran a Blockbuster, and I'm going to run a Blockbuster despite the fact that Netflix exists.
I think there's one left. Like, that's all we can handle.
The last remaining store is in Morley, West Australia, closed its doors. So there is one left.
Yeah, it's like in Ohio or something.
It is in Bend, Oregon.
Oh, Oregon, sorry.
Bend.
Do you reckon it's in one of these? Do you reckon there's going to be like modern Amish people who?
No, it's not even. It'll be like
VCRs.
Twin Peaks. It'll be like the town of Twin Peaks.
Right. Okay.
That's where the
it's just
Blockbuster
boomers.
is.
Yeah.
Just a bunch of old people who have always just like been car mechanics or whatever, that like to rent VHS tapes.
It's very wholesome.
What if it only did porn? What if you went there and it was only porn? That was it.
At Blockbuster.
Well, I'm just guessing that's the way you could stay alive. Would be
with porn.
With porn.
It's not that kind of busting.
Yeah, it's a different bust entirely.
So anyway, GameStop. So the subreddit Wall Street Bets, which I've dipped in and out of it over the last few years because they often post what they call loss porn, which is where people post pictures of their horrific losses, and sometimes it's mind-boggling, and also their gains, and sometimes that's mind-boggling too. And there's all kinds of memes there and stuff. It's kind of a crazy place. I've never invested, and I probably wouldn't because I think it is a little risky. But even I might get a little app and chuck $100 on there, and if they're going after a stock, why not? I mean, they've driven the price of GameStop up over I think 3,800% or something like that. Like it's just going up and up and up as they're all buying, and because the share price is going up, this is where it gets difficult for these short sellers. So you've got these hedge funds, which are basically gambling institutes for wealthy people, and they've got billions of dollars. Now, a short position is when I say, like, one of the things you can do with short and long positions is, I buy some shares from you, right? Let's say Sips has some shares. Let's say Sips has 1,000 shares in GameStop.
Right.
I borrow those shares from you, and I say, I'm going to give them back to you in 3 months' time. You'll get your 1,000 shares back, and for letting me borrow them, I'm going to give you a little bit of money. So you say, well, they weren't doing anything anyway, and I'm going to get them back, so no problem. So you give me your shares, I give you a little bit of money. I've now got those shares valued at $3. So I sell them immediately because I think the price of the shares is going to go down. So I sell the shares at $3. The price drops to $1 a share. I buy back the 1,000 shares and I keep the difference. And I give you back your 1,000 shares. It's not my fault they're now worth $1. I just have to return you 1,000 shares of GameStop or whatever. So the short position is that they're saying we owe a whole bunch of people shares in GameStop when these short positions come due.
The short positions are saying we bet that the price will go down.
Right, because then I know that I sold it at the price I got it from you at, and I think it's going to go down, so I can then buy them back at a lower price and give you back your 1,000 shares, and I keep the difference in profit. The problem is if those shares go up, I still owe you 1,000 shares, and I now need to buy 1,000 shares for you and return them to you, and that might end up costing me money. Now, normally the spread wouldn't be that big, but because of what's happened with Wall Street Bets, all these hedge funds that had short positions on GameStop, when they bought these shares at fuck all, they got them and sold them at fuck all, now they're worth like hundreds of dollars per share, so they're going to lose billions. And a lot of them have had to close out their positions and buy the shares.
Absolutely.
And because they have to buy these shares to then give back to people, that's more shares being bought, so the price goes up even more.
And the thing about it is that it's not even that. It's almost like derivatives. So the way they work is, instead of doing this with Sips and buying the share off him, you kind of buy fake shares. You go to a bank and you say, I would like to make a bet on these shares. And even though you're paying a small amount, like a very small premium, a little fraction of the money to buy 10 or 100 or 1,000 shares worth. So you can play that position. So it was as if you were buying the shares and selling them back. You're actually saying to a bank, I'm just going to play that game. Right?
Yeah. It's silly, isn't it?
And I'm going to pay money to let you play that game for me, kind of thing. I mean, these things are called options, and basically they're a derivative, and that means that you're often, not always, but often liable to these potentially massive losses if the trade goes the wrong way. And I think most people expect GameStop. It's like a house of cards, right? Everyone looks at that and says, "This is not going to be the next Tesla. This is not going to be the next Apple. This is a business that even if somehow they turn around and they have an e-store selling games that brings them into the 20th century, do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like even if they like start
I don't even know what they could
business.
do. What could they do? What are they going to start
I don't
a platform
know,
that competes with Steam and Epic? And...
Exactly. I mean, Blizzard and Ubisoft have been trying to do this for the last 10 years and, just about surviving. And Epic is I assume, doing okay. But, what's GameStop going to do? They're not going to... It's not... Whereas the point is that with someone like Tesla, you think, wow, maybe the US government is going to say... Let's put money into all of our post fans and make them all Teslas, or let's make all of our things we need batteries now for everyone's house. We need solar panels for everyone's house. Yeah. I don't know. They might do some big innovation, right? And suddenly Tesla have got all this technology. Maybe Toyota are like, well, we're going to make this electric car. Let's buy Tesla's batteries. You can see this potential with all of the knowledge base and stuff that Tesla has. But with GameStop, it's just nothing. But what's happening here is that the GameStop price at the moment is $350 from $3,
right?
Which is crazy, and so it's causing this kind of distortion, I guess, in the markets that have always been abused and manipulated so heavily by conventional money players.
I think that's where the biggest problem for people comes in is that now Wall Street and a lot of their defenders and buddies are complaining because it's like, well, yeah, but manipulating the market is wrong when other people do it, because a lot of these short positions that these hedge funds have, they'll then go and get their media buddies to say, wow, GameStop is fucked. The share price tanks even more and their short positions come good. That's a thing that happens. And I think it's interesting to me that this subreddit, Wall Street Bets, they're not manipulating the media. They're just basically saying to each other, this is what we're going to do, and committing to holding on to these shares and watching the price go up. That's not the same as going to your buddies at CNBC or whatever and saying, hey, we're short on GameStop. We think it's really going to go bad. And they just go, oh, really? And they go on there, oh, there's short positions on GameStop. GameStop's going to go bad. And then magically it does. It's like, why are you allowed to manipulate it? These guys are just doing... It's almost like a democratic thing. I have way more respect for the Wall Street Bets guys and motherfuckers on Wall Street.
But the whole system is completely fucked up.
It's ridiculous.
Again, I'm not an expert, and I don't really understand what's going on with all this GameStop stuff. And I don't also know what's going to happen by the time this podcast goes out in a week, because it's crazy. But at the moment, it's really interesting to see. I mean, it's a classic thing that can happen in the market. And I assume it's legal to say, I'm going to invest in this thing. Let's pump it up. Let's pump this stock up. And then everyone jumps on the bandwagon. They pump it all up together. And then at a certain point, though, on this stuff, usually the big banks and the big money gets out first before the little guy, because the big bank has access to things like being able to trade after hours, or being able to, or doing some bullshit where they get their money out first. I don't know.
I think the important point here is the
I don't know, but I always get the impression that someone's gonna lose money in this, right? There's the money has to come from somewhere. If people are making money, other people are losing money, and at the moment it feels like the big banks are losing money and the individual chumps on Reddit are making money. But if anything, if 100 years of financial finagling, has
surely
gone
the banks aren't
who has the gigantic mega buildings
but this
in
hasn't
America?
happened before. That's the thing. I don't think this is a new thing that banks have had to deal with. People outside of financial institutions organizing something like this. It's never happened before.
It does feel like a protest.
Yeah, of course it is. Of course it is. It's a generation of people. That's what they're all saying. Is that these were the kids of 2008? They watched all this shit happen.
To some extent, this is a good thing in a sense, because I think GameStop probably fundamentally undervalued when it was really, really cheap. Because I think the pandemic has caused everything to be. I think a lot of the times this is. I imagine this is how it works. Someone in a big company, like a big bank, will be like, will identify a company that they think is undervalued. They will flag that up and use their massive corporate power to buy up a bunch of those shares or options of those shares. So when the price doubles of that thing that they've pumped, they actually make 100 times, because they've bought all these options, right? And so then they sell, and then they've made 100 times the money. That's kind of and Lewis's idiotic idea of how the financial system works, right? But I assume this kind of stuff isn't illegal, right? If you just tell all your friends, you tell all the other banks, you tell the CNBC, you tell that weird financial guy, it's a stock tip. I assume all that is totally illegal to do.
Yeah, it's one of those things. It isn't illegal until it is, sort of thing, right? Like if some big boy gets burned or whatever, then there's likely that it'll become illegal or be seen as illegal, or there'll be some reparations there, whatever. You know what I mean? Like I think there's like fail safes for a lot of this stuff. But then in a lot of cases there's not, I guess. You see people get fucked over by this kind of stuff, like, I don't know, fairly regularly, I guess. It's not like I don't really know about much of this stuff, but you hear about it.
Anywhere near any of this stuff because it terrifies me. It's like even Bitcoin, which feels like actually Bitcoin feels to me like a cool, good idea, right? It feels like it's a kind of limited thing where you've only got a certain amount of them, and so therefore, if you want some, there's no bank that can just print extra, or no government that can just make extra.
Fuck, they're worth like 40K or something. It's insane.
Well, but that's the thing. Maybe, Sips, they'll go to 100K. Maybe they go to 200K.
Maybe.
You don't know. We don't know. And so we're scared to get in, or you're always going to miss out. It's like, but then again, it might go to nothing because Bitcoin is
volatility manifest, really.
I think if you're into it and you understand it and you're interested in it, it's fair enough. To me, it's just complication in my life that I do not need. Like I don't need to think about that, and I don't want to think about that, and therefore
it's
I avoid
playing
it.
a game with money often. That's the thing, and I think I always think of Wall Street as the professional poker players. The old guard, those men at the table. You see these poker games with these men who's been playing poker for, 100 years, it feels like.
But imagine if those guys are gambling with other people's money.
Yeah.
And if they go bust, the government...
It fucks over a lot of people, yeah.
Yeah, so their money is like tied up in people's pensions and houses and jobs. So if they lose, they just go to the bank, a.k.a. the government, and say, we lost all our money. And we're important poker players. So they say, "Oh, have some money back." That's the kind of poker game it is, and I think that's what's pissed a lot of people off.
And that pisses off a lot of people. And I think that we don't want that to be the case, but I think that is the case. I think
if the banks went bust, we'd be fucked. That's the
crisis was horrible for a lot of people, and I think every time, as part of our financial system, recessions are a thing. But I don't know. Like I was watching The Crown, and a lot of The Crown seems to be about prime ministers in the sort of 70s and 80s having to worry about, the inflation's out of control, we have to devalue the pound. I don't know, there's and that's enough to get a prime minister out of power, the financial system was falling apart. I don't know, I feel like now it's just not a big deal anymore. We can just no one complains about that sort of economy and stuff and thinks about it these sort of ways. Back then it was let's just sell some more fighter jets to Iran. It was kind of weird, where they had they treated countries more like they were companies, and so when a country had to make some money, like back in America with the Contras, in order to fund some of these projects, illegal wars and things, they had to do some drug deals and stuff.
Right.
And you read about this stuff and you're like, obviously there was some sort of ceiling on how much money you could print and send out. And I just see these news articles where it's Biden's new rescue package. And I'm like, where does this... I don't understand where this money comes from and what it really means and why it's not a problem to do it. And so it's kind of this bizarre world we live in, and it worries me really, in a sense, the pandemic has caused these, and I don't want there to be another recession in the same way as 2008, because that was very, very harmful to a lot of people. A lot of people had a lot of hardship.
Yep.
And we don't need any more hardship. We need less hardship in this world. So anyway, I'm a bit frustrated. but
yeah,
I'm confused.
Confused and frustrated.
I don't really follow much of this stuff or any of it really. Like I've heard like people talking about this, but like it's so beyond like what I'm interested in or what I'd ever look into or whatever. Like I guess like from what I understand, there, you know, like a lot of people are saying, well done Reddit for like, you know, making a lot of money or something. Like I guess there was like some sort of effort for people to like do this and help out or something. I don't know, but like I still don't really get like what's happened or why or anything.
So you weren't listening for the last 20 minutes?
No. Like I'm so ambivalent towards it that I just sort of zoned out while you guys were even talking about it.
So that's okay, Sips. So this week, pretty much all I've been doing is playing Dyson Sphere Program on Steam.
I picked that up. I tried it out briefly, and it seems pretty cool. Like I thought
it's Factorio. So Factorio, but they've. It's a sort of, the idea of it is that it's colourful. You're building around a planet, and the first time I realised that it was quicker for me to send a production line round the entire other side of the planet and, you know, circumnavigate the little planet I was on rather than go straight forwards was really interesting. You can launch yourself into space, go to other planets, build stuff, build like a little space elevator there, a little space elevator.
Yeah,
sounds
just
weird,
a little tiny one.
And build these sort of transport ships. You can lob solar sails at the sun and sort of slowly surround the sun by this cloud of things. And sometimes there's moments in it which look really great, but at its core, it is the same gameplay as Factorio.
See, now, as much as you guys, like Sips was saying, he doesn't get it and has no interest and far from what he'd be concerned with when it comes to this Wall Street bet stuff with GameStop. When I look at Factorio, to me, it looks like someone has just spent all their free time tidying their house to a ridiculous degree. Like, it's that level of just ludicrous, getting every hair out from between every floorboard, you know, shake and vacuuming the carpet, not just scrubbing the sink, but taking all the pipes out from underneath the sink and cleaning those as well. Lifting the tiles up in the bathroom to clean the wall behind the tiles, then carefully replacing them and regrouting them. Cleaning every speck of glass, making sure there's no piece of dust anywhere.
No, that wouldn't be Factorio. Factorio would be making sure that the pipes were taking the most efficient route to their destination.
Right, but I'm trying to put it in terms of something I know I hate doing, which is cleaning. So it's just like, it's just mind-boggling to me when I saw, I think maybe it might have even been a trailer for Factorio, where it's zoomed in on a little part of a factory, and then it slowly zooms out, and you see this vast, unbelievable network of lines and conveyor belts and everything. I just thought, my God, that must have taken so long, and it all just looks like the same thing to me, and it's just madness.
Yeah, I think it's one of those, you either love it or you hate it sort of thing. But
I think it speaks to who you are. Like, if you enjoy that order, and I know
I think people who enjoy programming like it, because there's a lot of sort of like efficiencies and stuff like that. You know, like sometimes when you're doing it, you kind of feel like you are programming in a way. So I think it probably appeals to people like that, for example.
I think that most games are a simple mechanic sheathed or hidden in pretty colors often, right? Like, you're doing something over and over again, and that something, that gameplay loop, they call it, needs to be satisfying. You know, like digging a block in Minecraft is something you do again and again. Yeah. And I always go back to that one because it's very satisfying. But in Factorio and a lot of games like Anno and even simple games, you are just trying to get one resource and provide it to a place. And so it's like, even if it's like a Sim City where it's like a town and you need to give it food, you know, it's simple, right?
Yeah.
I think Factorio is the next evolution of that. It's bringing together multiple things from multiple locations and putting them in to combine to make something else, and then taking that thing and making it into something else, and taking that thing and making it into something else. And before you know it, you have a very complicated production line.
Yeah.
And Factorio is the furthest along, I guess, of the most. It's the most spreadsheet-like, I guess, of all of them. Satisfactory is the more 3D FPS version. And it's much simpler.
As much as I like Satisfactory, I found Satisfactory kind of clunky at parts. And I think it's just because some of the buildings are just way too big, and it's kind of hard to get like a good setup, or it doesn't feel as satisfying as maybe the title leads you to think, because I think you just end up playing this stupid, trying to line things up properly sort of game. And it's just like, I don't know. I wish there was less of that. I wish maybe that the buildings were a bit more compact, or that you had more control over how the buildings looked or how big they could be or whatever. You know what I mean?
You're totally right. I mean, the Factorio is the simplest, most easy version of the game, whereas Satisfactory, I think, is imagine the thing that you built in Factorio in half an hour. That's what you've built in 24 hours of Satisfactory. That's the same level of complexity, but Satisfactory is much more satisfying to see when you've got this landscape laid out in front of you on a planet of all of the stuff that you've built, and you're like, wow, look at my thing that makes orbs of copper or whatever. What were you saying, P-Flex? Because this is something which you must experience in gaming, right? Like,
but what I like in gaming is the chaos, and trying to make it through the chaos, the random events, trying to respond to changes and things. So, for example, the reason I think I dislike Factorio is because it's about creating this order, and it's all very perfect and everything. And I just, that's not me at all. I'm a very chaotic, badly organized
It's very
person.
list-like. It's like in Factorio, it's like I need to do this, then I need to do iron, then I need to do power, then I need to do this thing, and then I need to do this. Yeah,
I think that's the ideal way to play it, though.
Right, I don't see how you could play it any other way.
Some people do get enjoyment out of the chaos as well. It's kind of like playing City Skylines, and managing the traffic. Some people are
quite happy very bad at
having these really gross, bowl of spaghetti systems for traffic and stuff, and then when they're done and it's kind of working, they're like, great, like this is great, I really enjoyed that or whatever, and I didn't feel like I had to be overly efficient or have 20 wikis open to do it, sort of thing. And I think Factorio can be like that too. There's enjoyment to be had, but if you're approaching it like wanting to be the most efficient and like a perfectionist, then I feel like it'll be a frustrating experience, because I think it takes a while to get there.
Like, I do the road thing in whenever I've streamed City Skylines. I like the chaos of that, and the madness of having, I've had the entire town. I was like, wow, we're doing really well in traffic here, guys. There seem to be hardly any cars. And then we pan around the city, and there's one roundabout that for some reason every single car that enters the city is using, and nothing's moving. And it's like, why is everybody dying?
Yeah.
Why aren't these dead bodies being picked up? And you see a line of 100 ambulances stuck in
it's like a plague victim. It's like they're snowed in.
But the traffic generation in that game isn't scaled properly. Like one industrial tile will produce 10 trucks or something. And it's ridiculous. There's no way that it should even work like that. And there's mods to sort of alleviate some of it or make it a bit better or whatever. But I think in the base game, the traffic generation isn't great, I would say.
But like whenever I'm streaming it, that's one of the favorite things for chat is the awful traffic.
Yes. The whole game becomes about managing traffic in the end. It's.
I think that's a symptom of the bad, in a sense, something that I don't think that was intended. I don't think that when City Skylines developers sat down around a table and were making the game, they were like, okay, guys, so the core gameplay loop here is going to be traffic management.
Yeah.
So I know, Dave, you particularly like traffic management because you're a fucking massive nerd. It feels like they intended it to be this. That was just a side effect, and that you have to wrestle with, and it's a frustration, I guess.
The most recent SimCity was the same. They had this engine running, sort of it was kind of like an AI layer to the engine that handled traffic and spawning entities and stuff, but they had a rush hour, right? So at certain times a day, the game would decide that everybody needed to get to work or whatever. So for the most part, your traffic would be fine, but then at rush hour, it would just be a disaster. But so much of a disaster that ambulances and fire trucks would get stuck in the traffic and couldn't make it to the places that they needed to go to. So,
oh my god, I always have this paranoia in games that that hell, that the devil is sat there, right, and he's like coding, and he's like, I'm going to make it so however you play this game, you come up with a brilliant idea, but I'm always going to fuck you. Like, I'm always going to find a way to make it so the traffic doesn't fucking work. And I feel like so many times in games I get to these sort of situations where I've spent far too long trying to fix something which I hate. I hate the whole experience of trying to fix it.
Yeah.
Yet that hours go by and I'm like, fuck this. But it's like, I can't stop. It's very, and I think that's part of it with the same thing with Factorio, right? It's like it's a chore. It's a tedious chore, okay, to build this stuff and do this stuff over and over again. And honestly, like, Factorio does have blueprints and things like this to make it simpler. Once you've built something once, you can just copy paste it.
Yeah.
As long as you've built the tech to support you doing that, but certainly like there are just these very tedious things. And what you said, P-Flex, is that you like the chaos, you like the randomness, you like decisions, you like to make choices.
Like in RimWorld, my favorite part is when
very different.
We get some weird thing happening that's unpredictable, and I love that. Like I my favorite kind of gameplay is like the kind that emerges from a fairly simple setup, like RimWorld.
Yeah.
And then the layers of stuff that you add on top add complexity, but there's still this very lifelike random event coming out that sort of, changes things. I like that. Rather than predictable, methodical, almost like chore-like you said, tidying up as a game. To me, the equivalent to doing your chores would be Factorio, where you can plan it out and be maximum efficiency. Some people love that.
Factorio does have aliens that attack you, which is, I guess, kind of random. And the way that they work is they get bigger and they attack more the more you pollute.
Right.
So, like, there's that to it. I mean, it's not like, there's a lot of tidying up. There's no denying it. But there is elements of having to have turrets filled with ammo to, and like some defenses and stuff too.
But do you ever get a boomalope becoming self-tamed and then exploding in your potato
it's not RimWorld. Like you're comparing two things
I'm
game
not comparing
just doesn't
them.
have those mechanics
I'm
whatsoever.
Saying that's what I prefer over the other.
No, I totally get it, and I think that they are very different games with very different gameplay experiences, and I think that in some ways you are just going through the motions,
if you like
right?
Logistics and engineering and stuff like that, you probably like Factorio. You know what I mean? Like if you like moving lots of things from one place to another. I mean, you don't really do anything like that in RimWorld. Like getting efficient in RimWorld. I think I think like the sort of scope of it is probably just having like a good kill box or whatever. You know what I mean? Like otherwise,
having colonists that
putting your medicine next to your med bay. Or
like scientists your colonists just getting fucked off and being like, you know what? It's too dark in here. I'm going to start attacking people. Like that's the bonkers stuff. But,
RimWorld's great. I played it recently. I haven't played it for a long time. RimWorld, funnily enough, is one of my most streamed games. Like I was looking at like my top 5 of games that I've streamed like in the past, I don't know however long I've been streaming, and RimWorld's like number 3, I think.
How do you find that?
What, really?
You just go, there's websites like Twitch metrics or Twitch track or something like that. It usually tells you.
I'm gonna have a look. Carry on.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So like I apparently just have played hundreds of hours of RimWorld without even realizing it. Like, but I mean, it's a great game.
Oh, tell me about it. No, I mean, I've spent hundreds of hours in RimWorld. I think the thing that always frustrates me with RimWorld, sadly, is that the random events are, once you've seen them all, and there's not that many.
Yeah, sure.
A rabbit has gone crazy.
But I mean,
pods with radioactive dust have come down.
Yeah, I don't mind that.
It's a cold snap.
So
Everyone's
much.
dead.
Sometimes the game feels a bit oppressive when it layers these things on top of each other, and it's almost like like you think like, okay, I have a nuclear winter. all right, well, the worst case scenario would be X happening, and then X happens. And you're like, all right, well, like it feels like a bit bullshitty. Like even with Randy Random or whatever,
right.
It's almost like parts of that are just scripted to just really try to fuck you or poke at your defenses. And I get it. And and overall, I think it's fine, but I still get frustrated by it sometimes because it just doesn't feel authentic, I guess. Like it just does feel sort of like it's like a predetermined thing that like once one thing happens, it's likely that the other thing will or X, Y, or Z that would be like worst case scenarios will come coupled with it, and then you're just like kind of stuck with it.
I think this is something about like how long a game should be as well. Like I think sometimes games don't, like the roguelike genre has come along and it's really kind of put a tight kind of, and also Fortnite and games like this and battle royale games where they've kind of put this tight time limit on how long the gameplay experience is, right? It's like you're going to start at the beginning, you're going to build up, you're going to do stuff, you're going to get the guys. That's always the best bit. And it's the same in Civ and it's the same in everything. It's, you want it to be a certain game length before you can start again and try something new and try some new stuff and not get too complicated. You don't want to spend too long on one thing, right? And so I think with RimWorld, it feels like sometimes you put a lot of time in and then suddenly something will go wrong and you'll just lose your sort of 60-hour playthrough or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit more of a roguelike, I think. So, by the way, looking at the list of games streamed, since November 2016, I've streamed 3,630 hours of Dota.
Jesus Christ.
And then the next is CSGO with 750 hours. Then Tarkov with 630. Then Rust. And then, unbelievably, Blood Bowl. But I've realized why
those
that
are
is.
kind of like your games, though. I mean, that's
I
pretty
haven't
good.
played Blood Bowl in ages. And I regularly rage on installing.
No Football Manager on there, though, which you've
oddly
streamed.
enough. Yeah, oddly enough. But I think it's over the last 4 years or whatever. I haven't streamed much Football Manager.
Jesus.
But
I think my top game is Minecraft with like 400 or 500 hours streamed.
But you play a lot more games, like a wider range of games.
I think my variety is wider. Another one for me is Overwatch, which I streamed a lot of. So that's in my top. So I've got Minecraft, Overwatch, RimWorld, Fallout 4, which I've streamed a ton of.
Yeah, God.
And what was the other one? I can't remember Among Us now, because I've streamed a lot of Among Us more recently, sort of thing.
I'm surprised that's as high.
But like of all the games, I think Oxygen Not Included was up there, but I think like Among Us has overtaken it now. But it's like quite a wide variety.
Tarkov's coming up the list.
Tarkov's on my list. It was on my list, but it's not.
Sixth on your list, Tarkov is.
Yeah, I mean, I streamed not this wipe. I haven't streamed it much at all, but like when we used to play it a lot, Flax, like what was like 2 wipes ago.
Yeah,
I played it and streamed it a ton.
I think we might. Yeah, I think it might have been 2 wipes ago.
Yeah,
because I know that. Yeah, so they wipe the server
completely. So you have to restart basically.
Like everything, you lose everything. You're back to level 1. All your skills are capped.
This is what people want. People really want wipes. It's a weird thing to say, but like.
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, if you look at the banks of the Thames River, like man, there's wipes everywhere there too.
It's full of wipes. People
love
wipes.
Yeah.
It's 2021. No one wipes with paper. You use wipes now.
Like there's no achievement if you've just got 1 billion rubles and you're a full hideout and there's no quest to do and nothing. Like what's the point? There's no scoreboard or anything, so it just becomes pointless.
But usually the wipe comes with some new revised mechanics and stuff.
Right.
So it makes it more interesting. It's a bit like, I guess in some ways maybe it's a bit like PoE, but instead of like a full expansion to refresh everything and a wipe to play on, it's just a couple of patches, new patches.
Well, this does feel like that. That does feel like the middle ground now. You don't tend to get new games designed that are as static and as standing still.
Unless
as
you're
old
Blizzard,
MMOs.
who still do things like they did 25 years ago.
It's interesting. Like they're the two choices really in terms of you have your regular wipes, or you have the game wipe itself,
scented
like,
wipes,
in a sense, like
lightly fragranced wipes,
auto wiper. Oh man, holy crap!
Lots of
they keep talking about stuff they're going to add to Tarkov. The weird relationship between like people that are playing a game and the devs is that you kind of trust them to get why everybody likes this game.
Yeah.
And then you read about some of the plans that games are like, "Hey, soon we're going to add so and so," and everybody's like, "Oh my god, please don't do that." So one of the things they're talking about is adding traps to the game that you can plant. Like, I don't know what those traps would be like, but presumably things that explode and wound you. And I think that would be disastrous for the game. I think it would be really, really unfun to people just planting mines and tripwires and stuff around the place. And some people are like, "Oh no, that sounds like quite fun." It's a bit like techies in Dota 2. Some people think this changes the game so much, this one hero, that it's actually not fun. Even if it's not that effective, it ruins the game for everybody else in it. And I feel the same way about traps in Tarkov. I'm sure I would have fun watching someone get blown up.
I mean, I can imagine them putting it in though, because I think that as for all the sort of complaints about gameplay and or praise about gameplay and stuff, I think they are trying to make something kind of realistic or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I think on that basis alone, possibly they would put them in. But I think that it would slow down the game like crazy.
Oh,
right?
that was what I was saying. Was it's already people don't move around that much.
Not much, no. And it's definitely gotten slower. I noticed like even people still like hatchet run or like rat and stuff like that, but like the mechanics around that has changed a lot now too.
Yeah.
But if they were to put traps and stuff in, man, it would take you forever to get through one building, right? You wouldn't be able to just charge in, or else you would just get your legs blown off, right?
But worse than that, if you do see someone and they run away from you, you can't chase them.
Yeah, because you don't know what traps they've left behind.
And imagine entering a door now. What are you going to have to check for traps on the door?
Yeah.
Carefully open the door. You got to check for tripwires.
I mean, I think we're basing this on like Call of Duty, where you just press the button and then instantly the trap is up. I think if Tarkov were to do it, it would be like it would take 20 seconds of holding a button to like, set it up or something like that. You know what I mean?
All I'm saying is the extract points are already risky enough. Now imagine if people are just putting fucking bombs everywhere.
What do you think of the new one on reserve where you turn the power on and then you can get out?
The one down in D2
with the really big.
I use it all the time. I love
the big sliding door. It's great, isn't it?
It's my favorite. Before that, getting out of reserve was fucking awful. So yeah.
Yeah, well, you had bunker, right? But then train. But like,
I mean, train meant you had to hang around for fucking 30 minutes.
No.
Bunker, you had to go through the most dangerous part of the map and then fight potentially raiders and then sit for 20 seconds.
Time.
All the time.
So obviously,
now there's actually a way out.
What happens is that you, as the players, take control of the game and you find certain things and certain things become fun. I'm sure that Tarkov didn't intend to develop this kind of Chad/rat kind of duality, right?
Yeah.
In their game.
No.
They weren't expecting it to be like that at all. But I think that's what's developed. And in the sense, some people, what you get is you get these two different communities in the game who like to play in a certain way or prefer to play in a certain way. And when you start getting a big community of when you want to reach out to new players and bring them in, everyone's going to have a different opinion. And I think when you're very paralyzed when you're a developer because you can't satisfy everyone with your stuff that you put in, and almost like you're gonna injure certain groups of people. I think the what you have to do is you just have to have your finger on the pulse, right? You have to be down there in your game playing actively every day, passionate about it. Those are the people who know the community, really know what the game needs, most of all to make it good. And sometimes that's not adding fucking traps or whatever. It's sometimes fixing a massive problem with the game currently.
There is a big problem with the game that they need to fix. The desync and...
oh my god, the desync is insane sometimes.
And there's also issues like, they call it Pika's advantage, and you can watch clips of this all over the place. A lot of the time, the person who's running at you and being super aggressive, you just can't hit them.
No.
Like, you're shooting, and they're just... If they're moving,
you'll clearly see bullets land,
bad.
and they just won't register.
Yeah, and it's like, no,
you
you didn't get him. He got you. It's like, okay. And you see people get very frustrated.
The thing is, that's not going to bring in money, is it? Right? If you advertise your game and you're like, okay, this month we got Pika's advantage being fixed, it's not going to bring in new people, right? Whereas if you say we got traps and zeppelins and the president dropping in by helicopter, you know what I mean? It's like we got Fort Knox.
However,
that sells new players.
I will say this, however, there are a lot of big streamers that stream Tarkov, and I think if they quit the game and got sick of it and moved on to something else and complained a lot, I think that would drive the player base down. And
I think you're right.
A lot of those people, like I saw Shroud losing his shit the other day because he got desynced and not desynced, but the Pika's advantage and the Rush's advantage was ridiculous. And he had this guy cold. He's like, and the guy just like one bangs. It's like, what the fuck is happening? Like, what's happening on screen is not what's happening behind the scenes, and that's frustrating. Is that you expect, and also like in CS:GO, you expect that holding an angle is going to have some advantage because you don't know exactly where I am. I've got you. I've lined up where you would be. And it doesn't make a difference. In Tarkov, you can just fucking blap people, and it's just kind of silly. But I think you just have to change the way you play. But that kind of frustration does, I think it seeps into the community from these influencers.
And it's funny how, like, it's a similar thing with Sacriel, right? Because I saw he posted, like, that he had this whole, like, 2 hours of hell where he went in with a full 2 million gear, just got hacked to death by shot through the floor at spawn. And then, killed by some other bullshit, and then killed by some other bullshit, and then desyncing for another hour. And it just like kind of grinded him down. But obviously, he's still playing it actively every day. And, it doesn't even care.
There's nothing like it. That's the thing. There's no game.
But if you have enough of those bad experiences, they are going to grind you down, and you're going to find a game that doesn't have that. I mean, this is why people are playing Tarkov, I guess, because it gives them an experience that the other games didn't, right? Like PUBG and whatever came before that, World War Z, God knows.
It's just it's got it all. Like, it's got the combination of really genuinely very tense firefights and action. It's a very pretty game. The sound design is incredible. Like, there's so many sound effects. It's incredible. The weather effects and everything. I mean, there'll be bits where, as a sniper, I'm watching an area and the cloud cover changes, and that means I can't see. Or then suddenly the sun comes out and you can suddenly see a lad. And it's like, oh shit, the sun came out and now I can see him and now I shoot him. And, little details like that are really, really immersive. But then I think Nikita is the head game designer and sort of the guy. He keeps saying things like, we want to add gun jamming into the game.
Yeah.
Can you imagine how frustrating it would be for you to come around the corner and just go, and your gun is jammed and you have to drop back and clear? I mean, it's just more chaos. Yeah. It would drive people crazy.
That's what you want. You want chaos. But that's what you said earlier, anyway, that you wanted chaos.
But that's the thing. I don't mind that because I run cheap shit and go in with like a crappy SMG. So if I die and it's a funny death, that's fine. But if you're Chad, got me, goddamn gun, this is bullshit. And they're going to lose their shit. They want it to be this perfect competitive shooter.
I looked at this thing, and it was like I was watching this talk by this game dev guy some time ago, and he basically was describing how there are these like pillars of game design, and one of them is to have a stable game economy, if you like, and a hacking-free economy, and actually building that in as one of your 5 things. It's like it's as important as the gameplay to have like no hackers, And it feels like Battlestate games, like Tarkov is like some company where it's not on Steam. You have to actually buy it on their website. Yeah. It's not cheap. People put lots of money in. Yeah. If there's a hacker, you would assume that they have a couple of people just. Bam, let's just ban this guy, and then he has to pay 50 quid to buy the game again. Like,
they do, but that's the thing. Like, they don't. It doesn't. It's not a massive deterrent. Like, they exist. Like Apex Legends, I used to play, had tons of hackers. Like, it's just one of those things. Like, I don't think they're ever ahead of the game with people creating hacks.
It feels like it should be such a priority.
Some people just seek them out. They want them. Like some cultures sort of promote. Winning
it's almost
at any
like having a bug in your game that you need to fix. You need to build these facilities in anyway. Yeah. Maybe I'm just ranting about it, but I think a lot of people are it's just guys in an office who don't have anyone even thinking about banning the hackers. There's no process at all.
They've actually, interestingly, they've just brought in, I think it was yesterday or the day before, a new Overwatch system in Dota. They called it Overwatch, which is what they called it in CS:GO, and essentially. The community reports people, and then I think the community decides whether someone's cheating or not. Which it doesn't work. It didn't work in CS:GO.
No.
You can have people reporting people for bad usernames, abusive language and stuff like that, because there's a log, and presumably someone somewhere reads it and goes, "Yeah, this person's banned, and occasionally you get a message that pops up says action was taken against a player you reported, but a lot of the time it doesn't.
Yeah.
I mean, I message people that I know at Valve directly if I feel like there's something really bad that they need to see. I'm like, look at this guy. And they're just like, okay, I'll pass it on to the ban team. It's like, that's all you can do. Like, that's the best I can do is email someone. But most people don't have access to that kind of stuff. And I don't know if it even ever leads to anything.
You'd think it would be quite a simple process, right? Like, someone files a report, a copy of that game is like filed away as a replay. Whoever's going through the reports just looks at the first one. This is clearly hacking. Just a guy, one guy. You just assign a guy to do this.
At Valve, they don't have anyone like that.
But they ban these guys and then they just come back. They just create new accounts. They just buy the game again. Like,
well, that's great. That's monetizing it, you know.
But I know,
that way that guy pays for himself.
What you're describing is what is in place now. That's how it works right now.
See.
It's, they ban people as best they can, and then those people just come back with new accounts.
I don't know how many times I would come back and pay 50 quid if I was banned every day, though.
No, but when was the last time you got a hack for a game? And you know what I mean? Like, you can't get into the...
It's a different mentality.
Like their mindset, because it's just completely... Like, I've never downloaded a hack for a game. I've never felt like I wanted to even, you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine how these people just operate generally. Like,
Can we cut to a picture of Spiff sweating and looking left and right?
No, but I mean, like, especially like online competitive games against other people, where there's a ladder and stuff like that. What's the point? I mean, I don't see what satisfaction you get from it. You know what I mean? Like, I would have thought that if you're playing that in the first place, you're legitimately trying to get better at the game so that you can climb on the ladder, and that is where the satisfaction comes from. Like, you must just feel yourself cheated all the time if you're having to cheat and knowing that any progress you've made is based off having a massive advantage.
I wonder how people who cheat on exams. But I think if you're one of these. If you've cheated on an exam, right? Do you go through your whole life feeling like a kind of like or do you think, well, I've got one over on those fuckers?
No, I don't think so. Really, it's a means to an end, isn't it? Like,
at least there's some definitive goal.
Yeah,
like I need to get these exams to get this job, and then I'll figure it out from there. And then, who knows? Maybe you fucked up on the exam and you cheated and got through it, and then maybe you have a successful career. That's the hope. But cheating in a video game,
even cheating an exam to get somewhere, like if you don't know what you're doing, you're gonna get found out pretty quickly, right? Like, it's.
Oh yeah, you'd think so, but at least they have a goal in mind.
Yeah, sure.
Like the cheating is literally. They just get pleasure from cheating. It's that's all it is. Like, they love it.
I mean,
you see videos of I know that there was a guy on the Tarkov subreddit posted he got into this cheaters Discord, which sounds like hell.
Yeah.
And he was in there and played with them, and he filmed it and recorded all their audio and everything like that. And they just went on to labs and killed everybody with their cheats and everything. And then the guy was like bragging about it. I'm gonna watch me clear this map, lads. Like, it's a skill thing. Killed everything, and of course he did it. I mean, he did it because he can one-tap everybody perfectly.
Well, and he can see where everybody is.
Right.
Like, most of them can
ridiculous.
see, outlines of players through walls and stuff.
Right.
Like, a lot of these hacks are like fairly advanced, right? Like, and they can toggle them and stuff as well. Like, it's
but they were so happy.
Talking about like this stuff, like this week. As I was playing Escape from Tarkov, not Tarkov, so I was playing Dyson Sphere Program.
Right.
Because I wouldn't be able to pay attention. So I was watching, we watched Night Stalker, all of us watched it last week, and I moved on to the Netflix show I Am a Killer or whatever.
Oh, I saw the I was watching like the trailer for that, but I just.
So there's 2 series of it, and basically it feels like a lockdown show in a sense.
Yeah, don't they interview people who are like on death row and stuff, and they talk about
so they go into these prisons. And they basically just talk to death row inmates.
Oh yeah, that, yeah.
So
is it any good?
First of all, it's bizarrely formulaic and repetitive, and the stories that you get out of these people are almost the same every time. I've written it down, but it falls into like sort of a couple of categories, right? So most criminals that they seem to have on the show are death row inmates who tended to have done their crimes when they were young.
Yeah.
Okay. So either 16, 17, 18, or 19. And usually they're still on death row because their sentence was commuted, or at least they've come off of death row relatively, not recently, or in the last sort of 20 years, because there was a law passed that said actually if someone did a capital murder when they were 16, they can't be on death row, right?
Right.
And so these people often did their crime when they were young, and in a sense, like there is like an element of they were just young and stupid, right? There's this great episode where there's a DA who actually did a lot of stuff, really stupid criminal stuff when he was young, but he's now the DA and he's deciding whether someone who was, you know, so he's sat there in his plush leather chair saying, you know, well, it doesn't matter. These guys done the crime, and in Texas we kill them, kind of thing. Yeah. You know, and they're like, but you know, you could have very easily done something almost the same, and you in fact did go to prison, you know, for something. Can you see how you would be in the similar? I'm not trying to defend. Anyway, it's really interesting because you've got on one hand you've got these criminals who obviously did these terrible things. And a lot of the time when you're interviewing them, they go one of two ways. Okay. They either are completely admitting what they did. They're really embarrassed about it. They're like, I was young and stupid. I didn't know what I was doing. It was a terrible thing. I shouldn't have done it. I was an idiot, right? The other thing is they have this story that they've been telling, or maybe telling themselves, but telling ever since. And it's obviously not true. Or at least, but they're convinced that it is. They've almost told themselves the story so many times that when they're then confronted in the interview with like, well, you've just told us this story. We've gone back and checked it. This is what everyone else has to say. They're almost shocked. They're like, well, I don't remember it that way. What's going on? Like they're very confused. And then you've got the victims who, again, sometimes are completely forgiving. And like, look, I realize that he killed my dad. I can't believe it, but I've forgiven him. I hope he gets out one day. You know, he seems like a changed man. And the other people who are
burn them
completely the other way, and completely the other side, and are like, I hope he dies. I want him to die. That's the only, you know, my dad's not here, so why is he here, kind of thing. Like, and it's really amazing to see the differences between people's feelings about these activities.
Is it worth watching?
I think it kind of is, just because like sometimes it's quite surprising, and in a sense the way it's sort of set up is you get this guy who's killed all these people and he tells his story or her story,
right?
The female ones are actually more interesting. They're in the second season, and so her story is this thing, and then you go to the victims and they tell what they think, and then you finally go to the police and the lawyers who are involved and they tell their thing,
right? And
you realize that actually, you know, the criminal telling their story left out a lot of stuff.
Well, of course. I mean, they will do,
the very
right?
convenient stuff, which really kind of changes the narrative quite dramatically. And I don't know whether, you know, they just don't remember, or
do you think it's a defense mechanism to cope? If you're locked alone,
of course it is.
For years
I really
and
think
years
it is.
with this
Yeah, I
guilt,
really think it is.
Yeah,
it's a process of justifying it to yourself so that you're not like constantly just feeling like shit about it,
driven
right?
mad with guilt, right? Yeah,
because the way it sets up is you meet this criminal. They obviously look like a scary criminal. Some of them look like they've had chemotherapy, you know, because they're pale. They're wearing this, like, they're not very well nourished. They've got terrible teeth. They've often not got much hair. They look awful, you know, these people who are in prison.
Like me.
And they come out and they tell you this terrible fucking tale of how they were, you know, I was just sat in a car and my friend went and killed someone and I got done for capital murder. I never even pulled the trigger. I never even done anything, you know, and I'm now here and I've spent 50 years of my life in prison for capital murder. And then, you know, that's like, oh God, you're like, holy shit, this is a complete injustice. What's going on? And then it goes to the victims and they're like, well, this is sort of, and you sort of learning more and you're like, oh, okay, well, so maybe he was more involved than he said. And then the next guy's like, well, you got to remember, this guy also shot a guy in the stomach the week before, kind of thing. And it's like, okay, so this guy actually is kind of...
And you're looking at a lot of stuff in isolation too, like if there's not too much... I mean, they'll talk about like the crime they committed, but like it's important to know like their sort of like past and stuff as well, right? Like usually it's not just a case of like, oh yeah, this guy murdered one person or two people. There's definitely like things that lead up to that too, right? Like this guy wasn't like baking brownies for the local church and then one day decided, hang on, I am going to just abandon my normal average life and now murder two people.
Kill three people with a baseball bat.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely other things that sort of lead up to it, and there's probably other like assaults or maybe murders that you don't know about.
There's loads of really interesting. Everyone's story is slightly different, right? One guy is like felt like he was hearing voices from the devil that were telling him to do stuff, and sort of did things that indicated that. And one guy was like, really upset about a relationship and sort of just got really lost his mind. One guy was drunk. One guy was on drugs. And so it was all like you do feel sympathy for some of these folks, but some of the folks you don't feel any sympathy for. And you're like, God, I'm glad this guy's locked away. But sometimes them being locked away is this torture in itself, and that leads them to do even worse things. Sometimes they're like, well, they took me off death row, and so in order to get back on death row, I killed my cellmate. I strangled him. I was like, Jesus. Because apparently death row is quite cushy, apparently, compared to like...
Oh, I guess you're not in general population, are you?
You're not in general population. You get like regular meals. Isolated. You're like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, in a sense, like apparently being on death row is almost like... To this one guy that I was like, in one of the episodes. So he's keen to be on death row because he wants to die. And some of them are like, I'm guilty. I did it. The law is to kill me. Why aren't they killing me? Kind of thing. He's like frustrated. But then again, like I'm sure there's ways that if you really wanted to go out, you could go out in jail, right?
I guess. Just make the big boss angry.
In a blaze of glory.
Just demand a jugging. Just do something that demands continual day by day jugging. I've been watching a completely different show.
Yeah, I'm not
much
happy.
More cheerful.
It's not cheerful. I'm not gleeful about it either. It really made me think, but I did enjoy the experience.
So anyway, Call My Agent. Watch Call My Agent. It's a French comedy drama about a talent agency for actors, and it's very good right out of the box. First episode is really good, and it's a really good, funny show. It is in French with subtitles. So the problem is I watch a couple of episodes before I go to bed, and when I'm trying to get to sleep, all I can hear is like I'm just hearing French words in my head. It's really good though. I recommend it.
Yeah. I watched. I probably mentioned it, but if you guys still haven't seen it, you should watch Gomorrah. It's the Italian. It's Italian with English subtitles. It's like 4 seasons. It's like about the Gomorrah in Naples.
It's based on the movie, right? Which was really good.
It's it's that Robert Saviano who was like kind of like a whistleblower for the mafia in Italy, who wrote it. And
thank you.
It's a really good one.
Thank you very much.
Speaking of, and Dark as well, which did you watch Dark, Flex?
Yeah, we've spoken about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
really thought that was all right. Yeah.
Foreign TV series with subtitles. Gotta love them, man.
So here's my question, right?
Some really good stuff.
There's loads of famous French actors in the show who are big in France, and they're like I thought they were actors playing actors, but they're the actual actors.
Right.
And if you look them up, they are actual actors. So their talent that they get in and that they are representing are actual professional French actors that are known, they're like famous, which is quite funny. So it would be like, the agent suddenly in comes, I don't know, Tom Hiddleston or someone like that, or whatever. So that's quite funny, but you miss out on that because I don't know who any of these actors are.
Right.
So some of the jokes might be about the fact that, oh, look, can you imagine if Hervé Geoffroy said this? So that element of it is lost to me. But it's clear that there is a French film industry making films just for the French.
Well, I mean, I think most countries do have that.
Where's ours?
Well, English.
Yeah, name films that we make that are released in England just for English people and don't really get sold overseas.
Oh, there's been a couple. Like, it's not. I wouldn't say that it's like
hundreds of shows.
There's definitely been a couple though.
Name 3 in the last few years that you would say were
in
British
the last
films
3
released.
years. I don't know, but like historically, I'd say like. Waking Ned Divine. I can't imagine that translates well outside of the UK.
This is a TV series for a start, P-Flex, not a film. You're talking
right,
about here.
But my point is that these actors in it, the ones that they're representing,
are they
actual
like TV actors?
Film actors? No, these are film actors. And there is a big French film industry that makes films for France.
Yeah.
We don't see them. We don't. We're not aware of them.
They have a massive music industry as well in France, and that music you'll unlikely here anywhere outside of France.
So where is the British film industry? What happened to it? We got fucked.
There's loads
I
of
think
films.
I think there is still
movies.
like a fair amount of British
I
films.
disagree.
I
Loads
can't
of
think
stuff
of.
gets shot
I don't
here.
have examples for you, but if you look into it, you'll probably be
I don't
surprised.
think it's anywhere near as big as you think. I think it
Well,
used to be a lot
maybe
bigger.
it's not as big as France's, but France have a very sort of their approach to maintaining their culture is different to anywhere else as
yeah,
well.
they give
I would
a shit
argue.
about it.
Well,
I'm just
yeah,
pissed
but
off. Why aren't we doing? We produce so many great actors. Watch a Hollywood film, and half the fucking actors in it are either British or they're Aussies or they're Kiwis or something.
Yeah, but that's
Why aren't we making movies with these fucking people?
we all speak English, so there's always going to be that crossover for sure, right? Like an English actor is just going to be at some point in their career is going to aspire to go to America and break America, right?
I understand that. But where the English film industry at? That's all I'm saying. Let's make some more movies, people. I know there's someone out there listening to this who's got their finger on the button.
At
Do
him,
it.
tweet at PFlax all the great British movies that have been made in the last 5
That
years.
were released
'Cause
in
there's
Britain.
probably
Yeah,
loads.
think of more examples than just Waking Ned Devine, which is the only one I can think of.
And lesbian vampire killers with, I think that was
Lesbian
James Corden or
vampire.
someone like that. Like, I'm asking people to just give me examples of films that were made in Britain, didn't go outside Britain, much the way the French did. And obviously in France, there's a difference is it's in French. So a lot of the movies that are in French, it's not going to, people don't want to watch subtitles. I get it. So our film industry, because it's in English, could appeal to a lot of the world. What I'm saying is a lot of the time, you do get some films made like, film for funding and all this kind of stuff, but not at the same volume that the French do. Why not? What happened? And give me some examples. If you think the British film industry is alive and well and cranking out movies, give me some examples, because I am struggling. There are definitely some, like Train Spotting, for example, and I think they made the other one, but I don't know if Hollywood money was involved
Waking
in
Ned
that.
Devine, for example.
Yeah, fucking this fucking Waking Ned Devine.
That's 20 years.
gonna
That's
save the British film.
1998.
Yeah, there you go.
That's so
1998.
I just remember seeing trailers for it, like when I was working at Blockbuster, funnily enough, at the time, and it had just come out. And there were commercials for it. And I remember thinking at the time, fuck me, like this movie will never leave the UK. Like there's no way any other country in the world understands,
That's the thing.
this
It needs
fucking
to be a
Irish
film
guy.
made
It was like the
just for the
Father
British.
Ted of movies. Like it was just such a weird, I don't know. It was funny.
All right, I'm interested to see him as well.
See,
Let us
no, I'm
know,
not saying
and-
like I don't know if someone comes at me and says like, oh, Harry Potter or something like that. I'm talking about films that were made for Britain. Like, this would not translate. Like Sips is saying, this would not translate outside Britain. People just won't get it. We may try and sell it over there, but where are the films just that are like so UK centric that they would never sell internationally? And I think that French film industry makes films for France. Give me some examples of films we've clearly just made for a British audience.
Films is a tougher one because of the amount of crossover. But I mean, TV shows like Lewis is saying,
TV is.
But the thing is,
TV doesn't
they all
count.
cross over, right? People love watching the British, the things that you would think would be ours, like Great British Bake Off. People in America can't get enough of that shit.
Yeah.
They love
TV's
it.
out. I don't want to talk about TV. TV is different.
Okay,
I'm talking
TV's
films.
out.
I'm talking films. Okay.
All right, films.
Right.
Films is a different ball game. It's a different.
It is.
Well, it's not a ball game. It's like a racket game.
It's just gonna be like really weird shit, like educating Rita and stuff like that.
Again,
like,
that was made in the 80s.
I know. We've established. I don't have any modern
maybe
examples.
that's establishing that there aren't.
But I'm just
anymore,
saying, it'll be shit like that, where it's just like, it'll be so British that it'll just be impossible for anyone else who's like, not remotely interested to watch or understand. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
I mean, are you talking about things like Paddington and Kingsman and
No.
Dunkirk?
All
Do those
those are
count?
clearly Hollywoodish movies, or what? Those are
Yeah,
movies.
they
that
are,
usually
aren't they?
English studios that line into Hollywood, though, right? Like, there's, I mean, to film in England with like mostly an English cast and everything is. I would say that like a lot of the production would have been British for sure,
Right,
but maybe money coming from America,
Right, and also it's clearly made with them in mind, sort of thing.
Right.
But so, like the In-Betweeners movie, for example, I was playing Tarkov with my mate Bob last night, and we were talking.
Yeah, but
about
that's
this.
based on a TV show, though.
Right, but they love the In-Betweeners in the States.
Right.
It was a big hit. I don't know why, because it feels very British to me, but it
does.
It was apparently quite successful over there.
Yeah.
Weird, isn't it?
Yeah. Well,
it is
what's
weird.
the other one?
Maybe
Skins. There's like an American version. Most of like the Strictly Come Dancing, Dancing on Ice, all that shit, like, like Pop Idol, all that crap that made it over to America in one shape or form or whatever. There's definitely like a big export industry in Britain for formats and stuff, right? Like the BBC, for example, have made fucking millions off of exporting formats to other countries, not just America, like Australia, Canada, everywhere else as well.
Yeah. But the big one at the moment, The Masked Singer, it's South Korean.
Is it? Format. Oh, so what? That's on ITV, right?
Yes.
I think The Voice is another one that went over to America eventually. Well, it was a BBC show that then ITV bought the rights to because they were gonna ditch it, but now that's made it over to other countries and stuff as well. Like, I don't know. It's
the funniest thing about watching Masked Singer is that my kids don't know who any of the celebrities are. None. Not one.
But the other way around though, it doesn't seem to hold true really. Like what shows do we have that are sort of like popular in Britain that are based on formats from like say America, for example? Like I can't maybe in more general sense, like kind of like the genre, like the sitcom genre or whatever. Maybe that's changed a bit more. But like I'm trying to think of like, like in America they'll have like say Survivor, or I guess maybe The Apprentice. Did The Apprentice start as an American show?
I'm not sure.
Was that the other way around? Like I can't think of. I can't really think off the top of my head of any shows that we would have imported as formats. You know what I mean?
I think generally speaking, if a format is successful in America, they can just export it here.
I know, but that's what I'm saying.
Right. But what I'm saying is they'll just give us the American show.
Yeah.
We don't feel a need to remake it. The Americans feel a big need to remake it. So, by the way, Dragon's Den was based on a Japanese show.
Right. And what about Big Brother? Where did that originate?
I think that was
Holland.
Was it
Dutch,
first in Holland? Yeah.
Bloody Holland. Bloody Dutch coming up with creative ideas. Always creating makes tulips.
So The Apprentice was an American show.
All right. So
And
so that started in that format was imported then.
I'm surprised how even like a lot of we don't even know a lot of American reality TV that's going on and stuff.
So
I mean
cultural stuff.
Yeah.
Especially sports. We don't know anything about American sports going on. All that. We don't hear anything about it. It's really interesting.
I mean, occasionally the Super Bowl.
It's really interesting what stays within countries. And what news kind of comes out, right? It's really interesting. Anyway, we're gonna go.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Great week.
We got stuff to do.
Have a good one. Fuck.
You got stuff to do.
Keep your
Interesting week. We'll see if we'll see what happens with Blockbuster Video next week.
Yeah.
Apparently, AMC Cinemas. That's the one that they're going for.
We're tracking that story, and we'll have updates for you next week. Hopefully, hopefully there's some more movement. Anyway, this is Sip signing off.
All right, bye, everyone. Love you. Bye.